It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
If you are watching us, then you're probably noticing we've got some guests in the studio here. So I am joined now in studio. We have Chris Miranda. Now that's
me.
That's you,
Yes.
Chris. Okay, Christopher Miranda, and then David Gordy.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right. So guys, you guys are veterans.
Yes.
Okay. Chris, let's start with you, and
Yes,
let's talk about your time and where you served.
I was in the United States Marine Corps from 2000 to 2005. I was stationed with 5th Marines for the majority of my time in service. 03, we went to Iraq, and that was my only combat deployment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
It was my honor.
So David Gordy,
Yes.
what about you? Tell us about your service. And
I served in U.S. Army Infantry. I joined in August 28th, 2001. And a week and a half later, my life changed forever. I joined kind of thinking that I was just going to run around, and I was 17. I thought I was going to run around, shoot some guns, get some money for college, and that changed. And then January of 2004, I deployed to Iraq and came home in February of 2005.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you for your service. So that's a 13 months tour for you
Yes,
in
sir.
Iraq. Okay. All right. So you guys, I was put in contact with you because of State Representative Dan Sullivan. He kind of connected us because you reached out to him after the Florida shooting. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys actually think that veterans such as yourself could really help secure our schools and make our kids safe, right?
Absolutely. I actually contacted Dan because I was watching the families talk, especially Andrew Polak, when he talked about his daughter being in the graveyard and him having to go to the graveyard to visit his daughter. It really hit me because I'm a father of 6 children, and the thought of having to go to a graveyard to see one of my kids is just unfathomable.
Yeah.
And I thought, since 1994, this has been a problem in the United States. Columbine happened. We made schools a gun-free zone, and it hasn't fixed the problem. We have veterans in the United States. We are trained to deal with active shooters. This is a job we can do.
Mm-hmm.
This is a job all the veterans I've talked to want to do this job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that takes a lot of training to get us up and running on this.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, cutting the red tape.
Yeah.
Basically.
David Gordy, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think that this is something we can get up and going. In our limited conversations that we've had so far, we're only days into this, so we don't have any master plans or anything like that yet. But definitely a lot of encouragement and a lot of excitement about this. And like Chris said, we're trained for this. Maybe I'd like to think we're the best trained for those kinds of situations, and we can. And it may not be walking the hallways. We've had discussions from walking the hallways in the school to just staying out on the perimeter of the school campus and being in contact with the police officers that are already inside the school.
I feel like you guys would know something, a thing or two about securing a perimeter.
Yes.
I'm sure that's standard procedure for you guys.
Securing perimeters and manning a guard post. Done that quite a few times.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. So so you say you're just in the early stages of this. So what are the early stages? What does that consist of? And are there more of you guys that want to do this?
Oh, yes. I've been in contact with a number of veterans across the United States, not just here in this state, but across the United States who are trying to contact their local government to try to get things done. But here we've talked to, Dan Sullivan. We've talked to now school boards.
Yeah, trying to just saying, hey,
talk
we're
to,
here. Yeah.
Sheriffs on getting training regimens going. We have talked to, I've called the Attorney General's office. I'm waiting on a return call on what the legal ramifications are. We have to find out what. There's a lot of things that you have to go through. With
There's going to have to be changes made to give you guys the authority to do this.
Right. There's a lot that has to go through. Like Gordy was saying, there's a lot of things that we're in the beginning stages, and it is a great idea. We just have to find out what the legal ramifications are, and what we have to do to get it put in place.
So this is what I'm reminded of right now is I have on my wife's side, she's got some cousins who were both in the service, different services, but the hurricane down in Houston, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and just like the Cajun Navy or in all the America, just mobilized. Do you have a boat? Yeah. Do you have a boat? Yeah, I've got a boat. And they go down there and they fix the problem. I mean, as best they can. Okay, and they show all of this. They use a lot of former military guys using their expertise to go and help and save people. Right. And I guess I feel like that's exactly what we have. A tragedy. We have something that's going on. Florida, and we have these school shootings, and you guys are saying once again, the kind of the heart of America again rising up, saying, "Hey, listen, we can help," and I just appreciate you guys for even stepping forward and contacting the program. I really do.
Yeah, I think for me, I was talking to my wife yesterday, and for me, and this is my opinion, we put too much on the government. We expect the government to take care of all the issues, and they have the ideas. And my opinion, again, that's how we ended up in the situation we're in today, where politicians are running wild, taking money from all the lobbyists and writing legislation that makes no sense at all. And we've allowed them to do it because we're like, oh, well, they got our best interest at heart. They'll do the right thing. And they're not. But, it's time to take some of that responsibility back. These are our children in these schools. And these are the things that we can take care of, I'm going to leave the education part to the school. I'm not going to try to get involved in any of that. That's not my expertise. But if I can help secure and take that off of their plate where they can focus more on, teaching my children and where they're not worried about teaching and mentoring and counseling and securing and all of that other stuff. If I can take something off their plate, I'm going to do whatever I can.
Now, David, you're actually the head of a PTSD organization.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, PTSD Foundation of America, Arkansas chapter, yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that, and what can people do if there are veterans listening, or if people who are not veterans want to help that organization?
Yeah, so back in 2015, my partner Gary, Miranda, and myself, we met each other on Twitter through Arkansas State Football. His Twitter handle was Red Wolf Marine, and I was like, well, of course only a Marine's going to have that, so I reached out and I said, hey man, I'm not from the area, did you deploy? And he said, yeah. So we connected over that. And then after a while, a couple of years, finally made a phone call and said, man, I'm really struggling. We need to do something, get together. And from there, the conversation went to, we can't be the only people here in Jonesboro that need something. So let's try to find a way to create something. We did, of course, Google search, PTSD support groups, and we found the PTSD Foundation of America online, and I emailed them and asked them about their warrior groups, and they emailed back. Basically what I did, I asked, how do you run your groups, because we want to start something. And they said, well, we can't tell you how to run groups, but if you come down here for 30 days, we'll teach you our program, get you certified so you could take it back to Arkansas and do it there. My wife was pregnant. We went down for 2 weeks, not 30 days. And we've been running groups ever since. And, it's peer support. We talk about issues. We don't talk about politics or weather or sports or any other nonsense. It's not a social hour. But, we have a website, ptsdusa.org, and you can find out all the information there. You can donate through the website, and, you can actually donate straight to the Arkansas chapter on there as well. And, if you're a veteran listening and you need some help, my phone number is 870-273-2838. You can give me a call, and I'll come to you with, I'll get Gary or one of our other mentors, and I'll come and we'll talk with, about whatever you need to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I really commend you guys, and I appreciate your service so much. And I hope that, this gets the conversation going, and we can, just keep me posted, and let's continue to talk about, the idea of how we can utilize you guys who are skilled and trained, and in this case, protecting our kids. I think it's the logical step. I mean, if you look at Israel, they're very, they're on the precipice of violence, all the time, and it's like, well, they didn't disarm their citizens. They, so we need to use that as an example. That's just common sense, really.
Well, I'd like to add one thing. I took an oath to defend this country, and that oath didn't end when I got my DD-214. And same with Gordy, same with all the veterans I've talked to. We took an oath that we'll take to our grave, and we still defend this country, the people in this country. That includes our children, which is our most precious resource.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah.
Chris, Miranda, David, Gordy, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Let's keep in touch.
Will do.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. Thank you.
sir.
Folks, we're going to take a break. This is Conduit News Radio. I'm Paul Harrell. We'll be back in just a moment.